Hi and welcome back to Hero Movement, where we explore and share ideas in everything movement, wellness and adventure. So I'm Luke Jones and today I'm going to take you through a really super simple shoulder mobility routine. Just a simple follow along routine that you can use to open up your shoulders a little bit, improve your range of motion and mobility, and prepare you as well for any activities or skill sessions that are shoulder heavy. So shoulder pain and injuries are quite common, whether you do yoga or lift weights or anything active really. No one is immune to shoulder dysfunction. There could be a whole load of reasons why we get injured, but one that often comes up is a lack of mobility. So it's not necessarily the lack of mobility that causes the injury, but it's more to do with positioning. So the shoulder, which is a ball and socket joint, we can flex, so bring the arm up overhead or up in front of us. We can extend, so the arm goes out behind. We can abduct, we can adduct, and then we can externally rotate, and we can internally rotate. So if we're missing range of motion or stability in that range of motion or strength in that range of motion in any of those positions, that can then have a knock-on effect. We can struggle sometimes to get into stable positions for different skills. For example, if we're missing shoulder extension, so the arm coming up behind us, and then we try to perform something like a muscle up or a back lever on the rings, we don't have that range of motion, so that the shoulder will start to compensate and other areas of the body start to compensate. So we're then going under load and the shoulder's maybe not in the best position, it's in kind of a compromised position. So for starters, we're gonna be limited in our ability to perform that movement, and also we're potentially at an increased risk of injury because that shoulder is not in a safe position. There's not necessarily a perfect positioning, but if we are missing range of motion, what we do see is we kind of shift down that spectrum to positions that are a little bit more dodgy. So in my training, I've been focusing a lot on the muscle up and handstand, so mobility and shoulder mobility has been really important to me, and just shoulder health. So today I'm just going to share with you a really quick routine that I've been using just to nourish the joint, to extend our range of motion in all those different movement patterns that we've got, and to build a little bit of strength in that end range. So the same sort of structure that we've used with a lot of our other mobility videos. So we're creating space and then strengthening a new position. So equipment, if you've got like a broom or a light barbell, then that could come in handy, and some sort of platform like a couch or table, that could be useful too. Other than that, just an open space, big smile and some shoulders. So we're going to start with just some simple patterns to warm the shoulder joint up, just getting the blood flowing and just start nourishing the joint. So we're going to start just by bringing the shoulders up, back and down. If we have the arms bent, so we're in this sort of short lever position like they talk about at Mobility WOD. So we've got that elbow bent, we're just going forward, up, back and down. So we're just rotating the scapula, we're protracting, elevating, retracting and depressing. Go a few more rolls, and we can also reverse that. Trying to keep the ribs down with that as well, try not to flare. Just trying to exaggerate that movement as much as you can. And let's switch it up and go long lever, so the arms are extended. I'm just going to come up. Again, here you'll see the ribs, they want to flare. We're trying to keep the ribs down. Just big circles. So we're not necessarily looking to improve mobility here. We're just getting some blood flowing and just warming up the joint. I find when the joints are warm, when the body temperature is a little bit raised, we're in a much better position then to actually start making some changes. So you go roll forward as well. Don't forget to breathe. Don't worry if you got a few clicks. As long as you're not in pain, a few clicks now and again are okay. So the second one, it's a bit of a strange one. I call it the Egyptian. I think I picked it up from Scott Sunnan, who's a really cool, really interesting mobility movement guy. So you start with the arms extended. I'll go back a little bit. Arms extended, and then one shoulder is going to rotate forward, the other one's going to rotate backwards at the same time. So we're just here, feet forward, and then one rotates forward, one comes back to center, and we go the other way. So we're getting internal and external rotation at the same time. So what you get with this one is almost like a ringing out effect of the T-spine. Because you have that forward and backwards rotation, the shoulder blades are kind of moving in opposite directions, and just rings out that tension. You can also sort of sit your hips to the side. It's hard to see on that angle, but the side that you're rotating forward, that you're internally rotating, you can kind of sit your hips to that side, and that exaggerates the thoracic movement a bit too. Bit of a weird one. Might get some funny looks at the gym, but it's a nice one. Opening up through the shoulders and bringing out that thoracic as well, getting some motion through there. So now with the shoulders warmed up a little bit, we're going to start working into improving our range of motion and strength in that end range. So start with some internal and external rotations. So we're going to bring the shoulders or the arms up to 90 degrees. So it's like a 90-90 position. Shoulders are back and down. Then we're slowly going to just rotate backwards. So we're trying to get our arms sort of just past our ears. That's ideal. Maybe even a little bit further, but without flaring the ribs. So keeping the ribs down. The core is on, like we talked about in the posture video, which I'll link to. We're trying to keep our core down and just be conscious of our posture throughout the movement. So we go from the center up to the top, back to center, then we're going to come down into internal rotation. And this is where I start to struggle. So ideally, we want to be able to internally rotate almost to the same degree that we can externally rotate. I'm a little bit stiff here. I've just done some muscle up work today. And my internal rotation is not the best anyway. But we're looking to get to that sort of almost 90-degree position without the shoulder ganking forward like that. So we're just going to work oscillating between the two for now. Just a few more normal reps, and then we're going to really look to extend that range. So this time we're going to get to end range. We're going to take a big deep breath in, into the belly, into the ribs and into the chest. So as we exhale through the mouth, what you might see is we get a little bit more motion in that end range. We do 2 more reps here, 2 more big deep breaths. So as you exhale, can you take up some of that slack? So we're creating space with the breath, and then we're moving into that space on the exhale. So one last one here. So there, I've kind of improved that quite considerably, and that's just on 3 breaths. So you can repeat that over. You could now, we're going to move on to the internal rotation now. You could go back to that again later if you identify that as kind of a problem area. So we're going to come back to that 90. and then down. Trying to keep the wrists straight as well. As you start to do funny things at the wrist, we're trying to keep the arms pretty straight. Big deep breath. Exhale. And again, big deep breath. One more big deep breath. Again, that's far from perfect, but just another example of how we can use our breath to just go a little bit deeper into immobilization. So let's go to the floor. Hi. So we're going to go down onto the floor, onto our bellies. We're going to do immobilization now that is really useful for opening up at the front of the shoulder, so the anterior shoulder. So we often get quite tight down through there. We get that shoulder rolling forwards, which can then cause us a lot of issues, a lot of problems that we don't really want to be dealing with. So this one, we're gonna put the arm out outstretched to the side. If you've got like a foot or two, no, that's probably less than a foot, but just something to kind of bolster up your arm so it's off the floor. You might not need that. You might be able to just start on the floor. If you're quite stiff through the shoulders, you might not want to go up on here, but if you can, we're gonna go face down, shoulders are back and down, and then we're gonna start to rotate towards the opposite arm. So this arm's out behind us. We can also then take this leg and step over to deepen that a little bit more. It's a bit of a stretch. Opening up through the chest and the thoracic, and then we'd switch sides. So we come into this side. I'm gonna move this one out of the way for now. Because what we're gonna do, we could spend time just sat in that end range. We're gonna make it active and just rotate through. So you extend out through that arm, and then you can press with the opposite arm into the ground as you rotate and start to look up towards the ceiling. Again, back to center, arm shoots out, other arm comes in close, and then we're pressing this hand into the floor to rotate our torso and look up. And we're also starting to think about pressing this bottom arm into the floor as well. Just rotating through. A couple more, and then we'll do a little strengthener in this position as well. See if we can get a little bit deeper. It's a nice one for opening up through the thoracic a little bit too. So, get into that end range. I'll shift across a little bit. So we're here. Now what we're gonna do, we're gonna take a deep breath, then we're gonna hold, and as we hold, we're gonna press the arm into the floor. It's the classic PNF style, contract, relax, mobility WOD 101 kind of mobilization. So by contracting into the floor, we're telling our body that we're safe in that position, and we're creating strength in that end-range position. So we're making it more of a habit, more of a position or pattern that our body is okay with doing. So end range, and then big deep breath in, contract, exhale to relax. And you might get a little bit more movement on that exhale. No worries if not. So a big inhale again. Contract. And one more. So a big inhale. Contract. And long slow exhale. So for me, I'm very stiff through the shoulder through that right shoulder, and that's one that really helps open that up. So I'm going to shift to the other side. Get a big deep inhale, contract. And again, big inhale, filling up the chest and the ribs, contract. And last one, big inhale, contract, pressing that arm into the ground, and exhale. So we're partway through, and shoulders are starting to feel a little bit more human, a little bit more like human shoulders. Now we're going to work into flexion, so improving our overhead position. So this one is called a butcher's block. Emmett Lewis, Tom Merrick, Bodyweight Warrior, they've all shared this one before. It's a really good exercise, one of the best ones for opening up the lats a little bit, improving your overhead mobility for handstands, for anything pressing overhead. So you're going to go up to a table, and I'm going to use a light barbell here. If you've got a broom, and that's great too. So shoulders or elbows are going to go on the table, and they're going to go like a fist or two width apart. And then the hands are gripping the barbell or the broom a little bit wider than that. So you've got this kind of almost windscreen wiper sort of position. So what we're going to do then is start to shift our weight backwards. So we're shifting our hips back, starting to drop our weight down. And then we can have a play around, just dropping our weight and playing about with our hand position. So we can start to extend that broom or barbell a little bit. We can also bend it up towards the head, creating more flexion at the elbow. We can bend a little bit more one side than compared to the other. But essentially, we're trying to sink our weight down through. Sinking down, and bringing that weight back up. Sinking down, and back up. Keeping that spine long. So we get into the end range now. I'm going to do that contract relax. So a nice big deep breath in. I'm going to contract the elbows into the table, pressing down, and then exhale. Same again, big breath in. Contract, and exhale. See that range increase, things start to loosen up a little bit. And one more big breath. Contract. And slowly release from that one. So we're going to finish up working into shoulder extension, which is really important for, like I said in the intro, any ring work like muscle ups, back levers, that sort of stuff, and just general shoulder health. This is the one that a lot of people are missing. So ideally, we want to be able to get our shoulders up behind us straight to almost like a 90-degree position. So if we're going to work into that using this tabletop position. So the hands, I like to have them facing behind me for this. We're going to go shoulders back and down, and the hips are going to lift. It's not the most attractive looking position. Cores on, the butt squeeze a little bit. We're just going to rep through this. So we're going to be gradually easing into that end range. If you're here at the moment, that's fine. Like if you have to bring your hands a little bit closer and that's where you are, that's completely fine. We're trying to get up into almost like a flat tabletop. So just rep through that and then do a few deep breaths at the end. And up and back down. Just try and relax the neck. Trying to keep those shoulders back and down. Okay, we're going to get into that end range and do a few contract, relax reps. So up, deep breath in, and then the motion we're going to do, we're going to press these hands down into the floor as we're lifting our hips up. Big deep breath. Contract. And then exhale. Might be able to shift those hips forward a little bit after that. So again, big deep breath. Contract. Exhale. You can see you start to shift. That angle starts to increase a little bit. Last one. Contract. Give everything a little bit of a shake. And hopefully those shoulders are feeling a little bit nicer. So thanks for watching the routine. In terms of programming, which is the one last thing I wanted to mention, how often should you do a routine like this? So there's no real one-size-fits-all answer. For me, I find my body responds better to regular mobility work as opposed to long sessions spread throughout the week. So if you're looking to improve your shoulder mobility, then doing something like this most days of the week, so sort of 5 to 7 days, that would potentially be a big help. If you're more just looking for maintenance and to use it as a warm-up, you just incorporate it into your warm-up of your movement practice, your normal routine, and then maybe do it once or twice a week just to kind of maintain those end range positions. Thank you for watching. If you did enjoy this video and you benefited from it, then it would mean a lot if you could hit the like button. If you could give it a share with some of your friends who could do with a little bit of shoulder love, then that would mean a lot too. If you've got any questions about improving shoulder mobility or anything else really, then let me know in the comment section below. If you want to see more like this, more mobility and movement videos, then don't forget to subscribe. Other than that, have a healthy, heroic week, and I will catch you soon.